Hey, hey, it's Berta J. Back in my kitchen with me today to cook a delicious butternut squash lentil soup. You can do a stew depending on how much of a liquid you want to use. I've already got going and you're going to hear the timer go off so that I can do the next step. You do 2 carrots. You cut them up into cubes, but chop them, small pieces, bite-sized pieces. 2 carrots. And then the same thing, let's go back to the carrots. If you don't have carrots, but regular long carrots, if you want to use the small baby carrots, you can do that. Lay them out, it depends on the bag and the size. Lay the baby carrots out so it's about the size of a carrot, and then cut that up. So you could use baby carrots or regular carrots, but have them equal to. The next thing you chop up into also bite-sized small pieces is 3 stalks of celery. If you like celery. Now, if you don't have to use that much, you could use 1 or 2. I use 3. And then what's in that pan cooking right now is a medium-sized onion with the carrots and with the celery, a medium-sized onion, about that size. So I'll leave that there. See my hand? And the medium-sized onion, chopped up the same way. In 2/3 of a cup of vegetable broth. That's going to cook for 8 minutes. When the timer goes off, what I'm going to do is add the butternut squash and the spices, which is 2 teaspoons of chili powder and a 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. Now, once I've added that to it, I'm going to let it cook. I'll tell you what else is going to go on, but it's going to go off in just a minute. But before I even do that, I told you about, it's going to be lentils in there. So what I've done already is I've taken a full cup of lentils, and I have picked through them to get out all those sticks and little tiny strange pieces of things because it's natural. So there are other things that are going to be in the bag. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a 1/2 cup of water and you're just going to let them sit. And what will happen is that they'll start to swell up a little bit. And that's what you want them to do. And then you're going to use that 1/2 cup of water with the lentils to go right into the soup pot. Okay? The butternut squash that you use, it's going to equal about 5 cups, 4 to 5 cups. If you love butternut squash. Now, if you want to try another squash, you can. If you don't want to use, I use brown lentils most of the time, but there are lentils called French. They're dark colored, they're tiny. You could use those. Those 2 would make a good match in this particular soup. Butternut squash is about like 2.5 pounds, a medium size squash. Cut it up into cubes. Size is about like that. So here's what we've got. We've got the carrots, 2 carrots, 3 ribs or stalks of celery, and 1 medium onion chopped up in here into a 2/3 cup of vegetable broth. And it's nice, they're softened. They're not real soft, but they're softened. Now what we're going to do is put in our medium cubed butternut squash into the bowl. Then we're going to put in the cumin and the chili powder. Now what you want to do is to stir those spices around with those root vegetables, that onion and that celery, and let those spices get in there. And we're going to let that cook for about a minute. Then I'm going to add the lentils, the tomatoes. Now, you're going to use a can of tomatoes, about 14, 15 ounces. I like to use the tomatoes that are, you use diced tomatoes in their own juice. You're going to use the whole can. I like to use the ones that are fire roasted. You don't have to, just any kind of diced tomato will do. Okay, so it should be going off in a second. We put these 2 in, pour in the broth, and then we're going to let it cook for 40 minutes. Okay, I'm going to put in the tomato. Pour in your vegetable broth. Pour in your lentils with that 1/2 cup of water. And now we're going to put the top on. Stir it up first. And we're going to cook it for 40 minutes. Bring it to a boil. First bring it to a boil and then turn it down, let it simmer for 40. We've been cooking the soup for 40 minutes. Once the 40 minutes were up, I put in 1 cup of chopped spinach. Now, I like spinach and you can use spinach, but if you don't like spinach or you want to try something else, you could use cilantro or any green, but chop it up, and that way you'll have the green vegetable right in your soup. And then I added a half a teaspoon of salt, and then I let it cook for another 10 minutes, and now the soup is done. So you can see I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's nice and hot. I just finished cooking, and I'm going to put some in a bowl. It looks kind of like a stew. My butternut squash and lentil delicious soup with all kinds of delicious vegetables in here. And I want to try it, but you have to remember that I just took it off the stove, so it could be a wee bit hot, but let me try it anyway. It's good. It's very hot. You should probably let it cool off before you eat it. A little bit anyway. It's very good, good for you, and it's nice and hot, so it'll keep you warm. So until next time, bye for now.